It's been a great ride so far. I really enjoyed myself. So, apps, we all use them, we all love them, but do we really understand them? Here, we're going to figure that out today. So, I'll let my fantastic, I'm not that important, so I'm going to let my fantastic panelists introduce themselves.
Cool. So I'm Mara. I'm one of the founders of Branch. We are a linking platform. So linking infrastructure for top apps out there like Pinterest, Airbnb, Slack, but also 20,000 of small apps. And we built Branch actually after building an app ourselves and finding the problems in that. So I worked for about a year and a half on trying to launch and get my own app in the app stores.
My name is Azaria. I'm one of the co-founders of Sisense. We help companies to understand their data. So if your app data streams into Flurry, into other databases, let's say, Sisense allows you to connect these data sources and get an understanding of what's behind the scenes, uncover opportunities, and grow your app.
Okay, so I guess let's start macro a bit. Right now, there's a trend of apps within apps. So we have the giants, the Facebooks, the Tencents, who want app developers to build within their platforms. So what does this mean for the app community at large?
I can start on that one because I did the whole presentation about how these big platforms are inherently selfish. So unfortunately, think about you and what makes sense for you as an app developer. They try to own the user, and they try to own the user's time because the more they have the user on the platform, the more they can make money. So that is resulting in more and more fragmentation in the mobile ecosystem. That means it's incredibly painful for an app developer to kind of grow and build a presence. So what can you do? There, my advice is to understand that they're not your friend. Facebook is not going to be your friend. Apple and Android are not your friends. So you need to build your own fortress. Find an app or a mobile website where you can own the user and just use the platforms. Use them to give you users. And as soon as you can, take them off that platform, off the app within app, and take them into your own little fortress, whether that's the app or the mobile website.
I'm raising the bar here with a startup idea. Many of you have apps in here. Just invent an open source app platform for everybody to enjoy. It's going to be the blockchain of apps. So it's an idea I just got.
Yeah.
Probably a stupid idea, but maybe, who knows.
No, I think that makes sense.
As you said, the big guys, they're making money. They're making us money too. So we cannot ignore that. We need to leverage that, but in the same time, be careful. Because what will happen, guys, if Apple, for instance, will increase their share in your pie? You'll get less money. They're going to be very rich. This is a 1 cent game for them. For you, it's a lot of money and so on. I do think that many of the applications, as Mara said, should coexist in many different spaces. And you need to know the space that you are playing in very well. Just if you just start in one platform. Don't just go to Google and Apple and so on. Really invest in Apple or really invest in Google.
So actually, we were speaking backstage about the role of these gatekeepers, the Apples, the Androids, and how the App Store there's something wrong with it. So what are your thoughts about the role that these gatekeepers are playing right now?
So the Apples of the world promote the apps that make the most money for them. So fortune favors the already discovered, unfortunately. So if you look at the new App Store, and if guys have all seen the new iOS 11 App Store, less and less apps are actually being featured. So the chances of a new app developer being featured in the App Store are becoming slimmer. So what can you do? My advice is actually to go back to more traditional marketing strategies. So look at mobile SEO. Get users on a mobile website, get content from your app, put it on the web, and get users that way, and then use banners and interstitials to take people to download the app. Work with bloggers, promote app content in social media. Don't rely on the App Store. They're an empire, and they'll actually favor the larger apps that bring them the most money.
So look at the app search engines today. where is easier to find the next step? I was looking for an app to cut, my photo albums. I have in each of my photo albums, I have one page, 4 images, and I know this app exists. Searching in the Google App Store or in Apple App Store, nothing. You cannot find it anywhere. This app apparently didn't invest too much in their web presence in order for me to find it in a regular engine and, of course, in the app stores. Being gatekeepers also means responsibility for us to have the ability to share what we do and people to find us. That's one way of looking at it. The other way, gatekeepers are important, guys. Remember what happened all across the world in the past few years. You see more and more hacks happening. So if an app getting into the App Store without any kind of quality assurance, this means bad for all of us. So again, pros and cons, we need to live within this world, I guess.
So on that note, I mean, when apps first started becoming this massive phenomenon, there was this concept of, there's an app for everything. So for the next generation of app developers, how do you believe that they should go out and search for that next great app idea? Is it rehashing old ideas? Is it improving, or are there some functions we have not discovered yet?
It's very similar to songs or to art, I guess. Did we hear all the songs really? Or can we find more art and more songs? So I think apps will thrive in different forms, of course, but definitely there is so much space for new apps. People are pitching me all day. Guys, you have amazing ideas. Just keep on bringing them. Some of them will succeed.
And I think the mobile ecosystem is completely changing, where there's going to be AR is really the future. It's going to take a little while before we'll figure out the way that we can have enough computing power in our phone to really empower it. But if you think, Apple is actually putting a lot of effort into this. So the new phone will have a way to take 3D images and will start scanning the world around us. When you take images, we'll be scanning everything around us. And you'll start understanding, and Apple will start understanding our world in 3D. And that's going to be because they're doing a lot of research into AR, and that's going to be the next step. So while the ecosystem is reaching, in my opinion, a saturation point, that's going to completely shift, and everything will be different in the next few years. And even the things you can do with apps will be very different.
I guess when you look at an app, I mean, the metrics are, of course, important. How do you know whether it's successful? So what do you think of the reliability of metrics within the app economy, and is it good? Do we need to look at something new?
As an analytical company, first you must have some kind of a Northern Star. If you're freemium, it's probably new acquisition or activation of people in your app. But first, save the data. Don't just build an app without understanding who clicks where and where do they come from and so on. It's very similar to web application, to desktop application. You just need to measure everything. I don't say analyze everything, but definitely have the data for a future analysis. So you have tools like Flare and so on to do that. However, we do see the need to combine these sources of information with other sources. So Google Analytics together with your in-app analysis or data, and suddenly you can uncover amazing things to grow yourself even bigger.
And I think just to kind of go beyond what you just mentioned, it's important to also combine not just different sources, but also look at your app and your website together. So I think one of the biggest mistakes I see mobile brands do is looking at the app in silo and their mobile website in silo. Now, you can't look at them as two different entities. The user journey usually touches both, and making sure that you look cross-platform and cross-channel at how your users are getting to your site. How are they performing? Maybe they visited your site and they were on 10 pages and then they purchased as soon as they downloaded the app for the first time. You need to know that, because them downloading the app is only a small part of an overall journey. Maybe they were on your Facebook page first, and then they were on Twitter, and then they purchased something in the app and went back to your website. Make sure you tie all of that together into one unified journey.
So, I mean, Mara, your company branch does a lot of excellent work integrating apps with each other, like you mentioned, Slack, Pinterest. So I guess I have a quote here from your CEO, not to dredge up old stuff.
No,
but he said, app adoption and monetization are heavily skewed towards the top few apps, with 99% of value centralized to the top 0.01%.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for the rest of us? Does it mean that only these top guys are going to survive?
I mean, yes, the top guys have a much higher chance of surviving. It means that if you're a small app, you need to struggle more. It does not mean that you can't make it. I've seen so many apps grow on our platform, I've seen apps die and be born again. I remember one of the apps that used us was Meerkat, which was a Periscope competitor, and I saw those guys use Branch, build it, die, and then build House Party, and now it's one of the biggest, largest growing apps on our platform. So it does not at all mean that you can't survive. It just means that it's harder, and you have to struggle and also be more creative in the way you promote others. House Party didn't grow because they were featured in the App Store. They grew because they built really good sharing mechanisms and a really good viral mechanism that helped them grow and get to more users. It means that you have to build good content marketing and think outside of the App Store. So unfortunately, the things that you could do 2 years ago or 3 years ago, where you could just build a good app and Apple would feature you and you're set, that's no longer the case. So you need to go back to trying new things. And just to correct you, we don't help bridge apps, but we help one app build links that bridge them across different ecosystems.
In the same sense, I would say this is also valid for chatbots. So there's a new market right now. Everybody wants to get in. Same challenges apply, and if you get these ideas and apply them on the chatbots platforms, you'll be very successful.
Okay, I guess what's next for apps? I mean, actually, though, I have a more interesting question there. So now the big talk in the industry is Snap. So what IPO at 16, now they're down. I mean, what I was mentioning earlier about these giants. So do you think the story of Snap is going to be indicative of hot, awesome young apps? Are they just going to get killed? Because Instagram is hurting Snap quite badly, you could say.
I think as a startup founder, who's one of our values is execution, I really do think that, and we think about growth all the time. So fortune favors the people who can execute. And Snap innovated. They built something that no one else had thought about. But Facebook is incredible at executing. So they go and they copy Snap, and they execute, in my opinion, better, from what I hear. So I think if Snap dies, it won't be because they didn't have an idea, because they didn't have a good market. It will be because Facebook out-executed them. And just to kind of, if you think about Snap and Facebook, it's such an interesting story, because Facebook goes and copies startups and kills them. But if you go and you ask, I talked to the growth team at Facebook, and they never think about growth as something that's a given. They have to fight for every new user in every new market, in every new category. And Snap, I think, never had to do that. They just grew. So now how do they don't know how to fight for growth the way Facebook did. So if anything kills Snap, in my opinion, that would be it.
Eventually, it's the ad tech, we will call it. If I'm going to Facebook and I'm getting X amount for my investment, and I'm going to Snap and getting less, as an advertiser, and we're spending at Sisense a lot of money on marketing, this is a no-brainer. And Snap is failing over and over to do that. Very similar to Twitter in many ways. The growth in that sense is the value not just to all of you guys, And when you build an app, you build a freemium app, the monetization is very important. It's not just the amount of users you bring. Free users are great, but what kind of information or added value will they bring to advertiser? And vice versa. What kind of added value will the advertisers bring to the user? It's an ecosystem. It's a circle of life. If you'll not nail it, and growth hacking is all about that, you're going to fail.
So as someone who's studied apps, someone whose business relies on analytics, should Snap pivot, or should they just keep doing what they're doing?
They should build a better growth hacking team. They should take some from Facebook, exactly like Facebook is doing from other places, and thrive. They have a good product.
They do.
They don't make glasses.
Yeah.
They do an amazing work by hooking people into their application. If they pivot in some small places, they will definitely thrive.
And going to new markets, I think they focus so much on one demographic. They need to grow outside of that demographic, because Facebook is going to the demographic and they're not going into Facebook's other demographics.
Makes sense. So another big focus for both of you is, especially for you, are these chatbots. So every day I get stories about we're going to have new chatbots that can do amazing things. So why don't you give us a reality check? Where are we right now with chatbots? And what do we need to get to that utopia where I can stop talking to people?
Very, very early stages. It's a huge buzz today. Everybody are building platform, Microsoft and Facebook. Just bring your apps on, very similar to the early days of the app stores. We see adoption, but much lower than the buzz is all about. It's mainly going through travel, renting cars, and so on. It's not going towards the places that we all want them to be. It's going to take a few years. We definitely see bots that are more successful while pointing you out on some stuff. Like, you need to do this right now. I looked at your calendar and you're not going to be able to get it in the right time. These are the most successful bots right now just because they're helping us with our lives. There is some more way to go there.
Okay, I've got a flashing red light telling me we've got 1 minute left. So I guess we have a room full of young entrepreneurs who want to make that next great app. So what advice would you have for people leaving this room today?
Build growth as you build the app. The biggest mistake we made as app developers is build a really cool app that got featured, and we got a lot of free users out of that, but we didn't have any sharing. We didn't have any referrals. We had nothing. We had no way to even share what we built. Don't make the same mistake. Make sure you build that as you build your app. So when you're ready to launch and you start doing promotion around your app, every user that you pay or get will get to the other users because you have virality built into it.
First, be persistent. You're going to fail a lot of times until you're going to be successful. Just be stubborn. And read the book Hacking Growth by Sean Ali, another guy. Amazing book. It's going to help all of you.
Well, and with that, could I please have a great round of applause for my amazing panelists?
Thank you.
And I thank you all for your time.